They thought I'd forgive them. I always did. But this time, when my family stole my life savings and abandoned my grandmother on Christmas, I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I opened my laptop and started a spreadsheet that would destroy them completely. And it all started with a single piece of cold turkey on a paper plate. The house was supposed to smell like cinnamon and pine. It smelled like nothing. I pushed open the front door, unlocked, as always, and called out, "Mom? Dad? I'm here." Silence. The Christmas tree stood naked in the corner. No lights. No ornaments. Just a skeletal pine shedding needles onto unopened presents I'd mailed weeks ago. My stomach turned. "Grandma!" I called, my voice cracking. A fork scraped against porcelain from the kitchen. I found her sitting alone at the table under a single flickering bulb, eating leftovers straight from a Tupperware container. She looked up at me with eyes that had already cried themselves dry. "They left, honey." "Left?" I set down my duffel bag. "Left where?" She didn't answer. Just slid a folded piece of notebook paper across the table. I recognized my mother's handwriting immediately. "Tessy, thanks for the loan. We used your savings for a family cruise to the Bahamas. You understand we've been so stressed, and the kids needed a break. We'll pay you back eventually. Don't worry. Be back next week. Mom. P.S. Make sure Grandma eats. There's turkey in the fridge." I read it twice. 3 times. My hand started shaking. "Loan," I whispered. Grandma shook her head slowly. "They didn't ask, did they?" I pulled out my phone with trembling fingers and opened my banking app. Checking account. $14.26. $9,000. Gone. $9,000 I'd saved working double shifts as a nurse. $9,000 meant for grad school applications, for a future I'd bled for. Gone. When did they leave? My voice didn't sound like mine anymore. 2 days ago. Grandma's fork clattered against the container. They didn't invite me either. The room tilted. I thought about every birthday check I'd given them, every emergency loan I'd never seen repaid, every time I'd eaten ramen so I could help with their mortgage, their car payments, their life. And they'd taken everything. Not borrowed. Taken. The Christmas lights from the neighbor's house bled red and green through the window, painting Grandma's face in carnival colors. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "What are you going to do, baby?" I looked at that note again. At the word family. At the casual cruelty of "you understand." Something cold and sharp crystallized in my chest. "Everything," I whispered. "What would you have done in Tessy's place? Would you forgive? Or make them pay?" I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with Grandma's laptop, ancient, slow, wheezing to life like an old dog, and logged into my bank account again. Maybe I'd misread the numbers. Maybe this was a nightmare I'd wake up from. Last transaction. December 20th. Wire transfer. $9,000. Memo. Family Emergency Fund. Family Emergency Fund. I clicked on the transaction details. The receiving account belonged to Coastal Paradise Cruises. They'd wired my money directly to a cruise line. My chest tightened. I scrolled back through months of statements, and that's when I saw them. Dozens of smaller transactions I'd never noticed before. August 15th, $400. Borrowed for school supplies. June 3rd, $650. Car repair emergency. April 22nd, $1,200. Hospital bill help. Except my sister's kids went to public school. My dad's car had been fine. Nobody had been hospitalized. I'd been bled for years, and I'd never even realized I was dying. "Tessy." Grandma's voice was soft behind me. "You should eat something. Did you know?" I turned to face her. "About the other money?" Her silence was the answer. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I hoped you wouldn't become like me." She sat down heavily, her arthritis making her wince. "They did the same thing to me, sweetheart. For 20 years. My blood went cold." "What?" She pulled a manila folder from beneath a stack of mail. Documents she'd been hiding. Bank statements. Legal papers. Letters from debt collectors. "Your father refinanced my house without telling me. Forged my signature. When I couldn't make the payments, they took it." Her hands trembled as she pushed the folder toward me. "That's why I live here now. I have nowhere else to go. I stared at the documents. At my father's signature next to my grandmother's, one real, one fake, but both in the same pen. They'd stolen her home. How much? My voice was barely a whisper. $240,000. The number hung in the air like smoke. I thought about my mother's Facebook posts from the cruise, my ties and sunset selfies, my sister's kids playing in turquoise water, my father grinning in a Hawaiian shirt. They were celebrating. With our futures. I looked at Grandma. This woman who'd raised me when they were too busy, who'd taught me to be kind, to be generous, to be good. And I realized something that made my bones ache. Kindness to cruel people isn't virtue. It's suicide. I opened a new browser tab and typed, "Financial elder abuse lawyer near me." Grandma watched me, her eyes wide. "Tessy, what are you doing?" I looked up at her, and for the first time in my life, I didn't recognize my own smile. Teaching them what family really means. $250,000 stolen from an elderly woman by her own son. Should Tessy stop here? Or dig deeper? Christmas morning broke cold and gray. While normal families open presents, I opened Pandora's box. Grandma and I moved to the attic. A graveyard of forgotten things my parents never wanted me to see. Dust coated everything like shame. I pulled down boxes labeled tax records and important documents, my hands leaving trails through years of buried secrets. What I found made my stomach turn to ice. Box 1, my childhood savings bonds. 12 of them. $5,000 total. Matured when I turned 18. I never saw a penny. Cashed by my mother. Signature forged. Box 2, my grandfather's will. He'd left me $15,000 for college. My father was executor. The money went into a family investment fund that never existed. Box 3, my credit report from 2019. A car loan in my name. $23,000. I never bought a car. They'd used my social security number when I was 21 and desperate to help them. Just this once. I stopped counting at $50,000. $50,000 stolen from me before I was old enough to know what theft looked like when it wore your mother's smile. "There's more," Grandma whispered. She handed me a photo album. Not the kind with happy memories, this was her insurance policy. Pictures of documents, screenshots of text messages, voicemails saved and transcribed in her shaky handwriting. "Mom, we need $5,000 by Friday or we lose the house." Dad, 2018. They didn't lose the house. They bought a boat. "Just sign here, Grandma. It's just paperwork." Mom, 2020. It was a reverse mortgage that cost Grandma everything. 20 years of evidence, cataloged like an FBI case file by an old woman who knew nobody would believe her. "Why didn't you fight back?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Because I loved them." Tears slid down her weathered cheeks. And I kept thinking if I just gave them one more chance, they'd finally see me as more than a wallet. I looked at my grandmother, this brilliant, kind woman reduced to eating leftovers alone in the dark, and something inside me didn't break. It sharpened. I pulled out my laptop and created a new folder. Evidence. I photographed everything. Every forged signature. Every stolen bond. Every lie documented in my grandmother's desperate handwriting. They thought I was the quiet one. The pushover. The reliable daughter who'd always forgive. They forgot I was also a nurse. And nurses know exactly where it hurts most. I opened my email and typed, "Urgent. Financial elder abuse case, multiple victims." Then I attached 47 documents. And hit send to 5 law firms. "Grandma," I said quietly, "pack a bag. We're leaving." "Where are we going?" I smiled and it felt like swallowing glass. "Somewhere they can't find us until it's too late to run." $50,000 plus stolen from their own daughter. Years of elder abuse. Is Tessy becoming the villain? Or the hero they deserve? The law firm called back in 47 minutes. "Ms. Carter? This is Rebecca Chun from Silverman and Associates. I've reviewed your documents." Her voice was sharp, clinical. "When can you come in?" "Today." "Good. Bring everything." "And Miss Carter." A pause. "What they did to you and your grandmother isn't just immoral. It's criminal." That word hung in the air like a verdict. Criminal. I'd spent my whole life making excuses for them. They're stressed, they're struggling, their family. But family doesn't forge signatures. Family doesn't steal from children and elderly women. Predators do. By noon, Grandma and I sat in Rebecca's office on the 14th floor, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling law books that felt like an army at my back. Rebecca spread the evidence across her mahogany desk like playing cards. Identity theft, wire fraud, forgery, elder financial abuse. She looked up at me with eyes that had seen 1,000 cases like mine. Your father faces up to 20 years. Your mother 15. The statute of limitations hasn't expired on most of these. My hands were steady for the first time in days. What do I need to do? First, we file police reports. All of them. She slid papers toward me. Second, we freeze your credit completely. Third, we file for emergency guardianship of your grandmother to prevent further exploitation. How long until they know? Rebecca smiled, thin, predatory. They won't. Not until the police knock on their door when they get home from paradise. We spent 4 hours documenting everything. I gave statements. Grandma gave statements. Rebecca recorded everything, her assistant transcribing in real time. When we finished, she walked us to the door. Miss Carter, one more thing. She handed me a business card for a forensic accountant. If they stole from you too, they've stolen from others. Bank accounts, insurance policies, retirement funds. People like this don't stop at family. The card felt heavy in my hand. That night, Grandma and I checked into a modest hotel across town. Somewhere clean and anonymous, paid for with the last of my emergency cash. We ordered Chinese food and ate it sitting on the bed, watching terrible Christmas movies. Are you scared? Grandma asked quietly. I thought about my parents on that cruise ship, toasting their theft with umbrella drinks. I thought about the police reports filed, the legal machinery now grinding toward them in the dark. No, I said. I'm not scared anymore. I pulled out my phone and opened Facebook. My mother had posted 2 hours ago. Another sunset. Another caption about blessed family time. I screenshot it. I added it to the evidence folder. Then I commented. Having fun with my grad school money? Smiling face with smiling eyes. 30 seconds later, my mother was typing. The hunt had begun. And they had no idea they were already surrounded. My mother's reply came at 2:47 a.m. Call me now. This isn't funny. I didn't call. Instead, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling back to one question: why? Why me? Why had I been their target for so long? At 4 a.m., I gave up on rest and opened my laptop. Grandma was snoring softly in the other bed, finally peaceful for the first time in years. I started digging deeper into the family tree. My grandfather, Grandma's husband, had died when I was 10. Heart attack, they said. Sudden. Tragic. I barely remembered the funeral, just my father's dry eyes and my mother's theatrical sobbing. On impulse, I searched for his death certificate in the public records database Rebecca had given me access to. Date of death: March 3, 2006. Estate value: $340,000. $340,000. My hands froze over the keyboard. I pulled up his will next. Everything had been left to Grandma: the house, his life insurance, his retirement accounts. Clean. Simple. Protected. Except there was an amendment filed 6 months after his death, signed by Grandma, giving my father power of attorney. I walked to Grandma's bed and gently shook her awake. Grandma! Grandma, wake up! Her eyes fluttered open, confused. What's wrong? Did you give Dad power of attorney after Grandpa died? The color drained from her face. He said I was too emotional to make decisions. That I'd make mistakes with the money. Her voice cracked. He said he was protecting me. He stole everything. I turned the laptop toward her, showing her the timeline. Within 2 years, Grandpa's entire estate was gone. The house refinanced 3 times. The retirement accounts emptied. The life insurance cashed out. Grandma stared at the screen, her hands trembling. And then he started on me. I continued, the pieces clicking into place. He'd already drained you dry. He needed a new source. So he taught me to be generous, to be helpful, to always say yes to family. It wasn't random. I was groomed. From the moment I got my first job at 16, I'd been cultivated like a crop, conditioned to give, trained not to question. programmed to believe that love meant sacrifice. My father hadn't just stolen my money, he'd engineered my entire personality to make stealing easier. Oh baby. Grandma's voice broke. I'm so sorry. I should have warned you. I should have. You tried, I said quietly. By documenting everything. By staying silent and collecting evidence, while he thought you were just a confused old woman. I pulled up a new document. My grandfather's original will, before the amendment. And beneath it, a forensic handwriting analysis report Rebecca had ordered. Conclusion. Amendment signature does not match authenticated samples. Likelihood of forgery. 97%. My father had forged Grandma's signature to steal from a dead man. His own father. I looked at Grandma and she looked at me and we both understood. This wasn't about money anymore. This was about dismantling a predator who'd worn my father's face my entire life. He stole from his own dying father. Groomed his own daughter. How far does this rot go? Should revenge be silent? Or should they know it's coming? The phone call came from a number I didn't recognize. Is this Tessy Carter? Yes. Who's this? My name is Marcus Rivera. I'm your father's former business partner. A long pause. I saw your Facebook comment. We need to talk. We met him at a diner 2 hours later. A gray-haired man with tired eyes and a folder thick enough to double as a weapon. He slid it across the table. 2012 to 2015. Your father and I ran a contracting business. I put in $80,000. He handled the books. Marcus's jaw clenched. Except there were no books. Just empty accounts and my name on loans I never signed. I opened the folder. Forged signatures. Fake invoices. Shell companies. He bankrupted me, Marcus continued. Destroyed my credit. My wife left. I lost my house. He looked at Grandma. And you must be Eleanor. He mentioned you once, said his mother was helping with expenses. Grandma's face went pale. How much did he take from you? I asked quietly. Everything. $240,000 when you count the loans in my name. The same amount he'd stolen from Grandma. Same playbook. Same predator. Different victim. Why didn't you press charges? I tried. But he's smart. Just sloppy enough to look incompetent, never criminal. And I had no proof he acted with intent. Marcus leaned forward. But you do. You have a pattern now. Multiple victims. Decades of fraud. He pulled out a business card. I know 6 other people. Contractors, clients, even his own sister. Your aunt who moved to Arizona 10 years ago. His voice hardened. She didn't move. She fled. He stole her divorce settlement. I stared at the card. At the names written on the back in Marcus's cramped handwriting. 7 victims. 7 witnesses. 7 people who'd been waiting for someone brave enough to light the match. I looked at Marcus. Are they willing to testify? His smile was sharp as broken glass. We've been waiting for someone to ask. A pattern of theft spanning decades. Multiple families destroyed. Is this justice? Or a reckoning? They came home on New Year's Eve. I heard them before I saw them. Laughter spilling through the front door like poison. Suitcases dragging across hardwood. My sister's voice shrill with excitement. Mom, show Tessy the pictures. I was sitting in the living room. Waiting. The laughter died when they saw me. Tessy. My mother's face lit up with that familiar smile. The one that used to make me forget every broken promise. You're still here. We brought you a keychain. Sit down. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. My father's eyes narrowed. Excuse me. I said sit. Down. They exchanged glances, confusion morphing into irritation. My sister rolled her eyes. Oh God, are you still mad about the loan? Seriously, Tess, it's been like a week. It wasn't a loan. My voice was surgical. Calm. It was theft. My mother laughed, nervous, performative. Don't be dramatic. Family helps family. You always help us. Why is this different? Because I didn't say yes. Silence. I pulled out a manila envelope and slid it across the coffee table. My father opened it. His tan faded as he read. Cease and desist. Police report case #2024-8847. Wire fraud. Police report case hashtag 2024-8848. Identity theft. Police report case hashtag 2024-8849. Elder financial abuse. Civil lawsuit. Carter v. Carter $340,000 in damages. What the hell is this? His voice shook. Evidence. 20 years of it. Forged signatures. Stolen accounts. Grandfather's estate. Grandma's house. My savings bonds. The car loan you put in my name. I stood. And Marcus Rivera. And Aunt Diane. And 6 others. My mother's face crumbled. You're being cruel. I learned from the best. My sister lunged forward. You selfish bitch. You're going to destroy this family over money? I didn't flinch. You already did that. I'm just telling the truth. My father's hands trembled around the papers. Tessy, baby, we can fix this. We can. The police will be here in 10 minutes. Rebecca thought you'd want to see the charges first. My mother collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. My sister screamed. My father just stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. And maybe he was. Because the daughter who always forgave? She died the moment they stole Christmas. They're crying now. They're begging. Should she stop? Or finish what they started? The police arrived in 7 minutes. 2 detectives. 1 patrol car. No sirens. Just the quiet efficiency of justice that had been 20 years late. Detective Williams read them their rights while my mother sobbed into her hands. My father stood frozen. His mouth opening and closing like a fish drowning in air. You can't do this, he finally whispered. I'm your father. And I was your daughter. I met his eyes. You should have remembered that before you taught me my only value was how much you could take. My sister tried one last time. Tessy, please. Think about the kids, your nieces. They'll grow up knowing their grandfather went to prison. They'll grow up knowing actions have consequences. My voice didn't waver. Something nobody ever taught you. The courtroom proceedings took 3 months. Rebecca was surgical. Every forged signature displayed on massive screens. Every victim testifying. Marcus. Aunt Diane. 4 contractors. 2 former neighbors. Grandma, frail but fierce, recounting how her own son stole her home while she babysat his children. And me. When I took the stand, I didn't cry. I just told the truth. He didn't see me as his daughter. He saw me as inventory. And when you're inventory, you don't get love, you get liquidated. The jury deliberated for 90 minutes. Guilty on all counts. My father, 12 years federal prison for wire fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse. My mother, 8 years as an accomplice. Restitution ordered. $340,000 plus legal fees. They'd have to sell everything. The house. The cars. The furniture they bought with stolen money. When the judge read the sentence, my father finally looked at me. Not with anger. With recognition. He'd created a monster when he taught me that silence was survival. He just never imagined that monster would have his eyes. And perfect records. And 20 years of receipts. Outside the courthouse, Rebecca shook my hand. How do you feel? I looked up at the January sky, gray, cold, honest. Like I can finally breathe. 12 years in prison. A family destroyed. Was it justice? Or just revenge? Spring came slowly. Grandma and I moved into a small apartment on the east side. 2 bedrooms, a balcony barely big enough for her tomato plants, and a kitchen where we cooked together every Sunday. The restitution money came in waves. $180,000 from the house sale. $90,000 from liquidated assets. The rest in monthly payments my father would make from prison wages for the rest of his life. I didn't touch it for 3 months. When I finally did, I split it 3 ways: grad school for me, a retirement account for Grandma, and a fund for Marcus and the other victims who'd lost everything. You didn't have to do that, Marcus said when I handed him the check. His hands shook. That money was yours. No, I said quietly. It was ours. He stole from all of us. Aunt Diane cried when she got hers. I thought I'd die still owing his debts. Not anymore, I told her. You're free. 1 year later, I walked across a stage in a cap and gown, a master's degree in forensic nursing in my hand. Grandma sat in the front row wearing the purple dress we picked out together, cheering louder than anyone. That night we made lasagna, my mother's recipe, but better because there was no resentment baked in, no guilt served as a side dish. Do you regret it? Grandma asked as we ate on the balcony, watching the sunset paint the city gold. I thought about my mother's letters from prison, pages of justifications and deflections, never once containing the word sorry. I thought about my sister, who'd blocked me on everything and told relatives I was vindictive. I thought about my father's single phone call where he'd said, "You destroyed this family," before I hung up. No, I said. They destroyed it long before I told the truth. I just stopped pretending the corpse was still breathing. Grandma squeezed my hand. You know what the difference is between you and them? What? They took until there was nothing left. You gave until you learned your worth. She smiled, her eyes bright. And now look at you. You didn't just survive them, baby. You bloomed. I looked at our little balcony garden, tomatoes climbing toward the sky, herbs spilling from mismatched pots, a life we'd built from nothing. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Support group meeting Thursday. 7 people confirmed. They want to thank you. I showed Grandma. You started something, she said softly. Gave people permission to stop being victims. I thought about that note on Christmas, you understand. I did now. I understood that love without respect is just exploitation wearing a smile. I understood that forgiveness without accountability is just surrender. I understood that sometimes the most merciful thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their cruelty. And I understood that family isn't who shares your blood. It's who stays when everyone else takes. I looked at Grandma eating her lasagna under string lights we'd hung ourselves, and I thought about that cold Christmas night. The empty house, the stolen money, the moment everything shattered. It had felt like an ending. But it was the first honest beginning I'd ever had. Tessy. Grandma's voice pulled me back. You're smiling. Am I? Like someone who just realized she's exactly where she belongs. She was right. For the first time in my life, I wasn't giving pieces of myself away hoping someone would love what remained. I was whole. And I was home. Was revenge worth it? Or did Tessy find something better than vengeance? Drop your thoughts below because every family has secrets, but not everyone has the courage to speak them. Thanks for watching my story to the end. Please subscribe for more mind-blowing revenge stories.